You're listening to the Long Game Podcast. I'm your host, Sandra Scaiano. I was working with a client this past week on content planning for the launch of her upcoming course. We always want to build out a runway of content that feeds back to the idea of the course. We are not those people who are never in touch and then slam our audience with some launch emails, right? So the content to be created needs to be in support of the core teachings of the course, like warm people up to what you do and what you'll be presenting, and do this over time. And there is never one way to go about things when it comes to content creation. You can literally build your content off of the lessons that you're going to cover in your course, or you can base your content off of the universal pain point or problem that your audience shares or what they're working to overcome. And these are nuances in the approach. Either way will resonate with your prospective customer, and it's going to allow you to cover much of the same message that you need to get across in your content for it to be effective in supporting your course launch. So, these brainstorming sessions for content are really an intersection of creativity and strategy in your business. This concept of creativity and strategy makes your communication unique and compelling. It allows for you to weave in your USP, your unique selling proposition, which highlights how you are different from your competitors. And this really helps your customers to know why they should buy from you. And these brainstorming sessions that I do with clients are, one area in my own business where I tap into my own creativity. Content is a strength of mine, and I love taking what my clients do and sharing all the ways that this can be communicated. I've talked a lot about how I absorb a ton of content as a hobby, right? From reading to social media, I'm taking in and analyzing content on the regular. So with this client, as we started to work to formulate her content, she set a concept that would make a great series for her content. And this series would be based on a pain point for the audience. And once we tapped into this idea, we brainstormed 20 concepts. This could translate into 20 weeks of content with room for breakoffs and interjection of other pieces related to her business throughout that time frame. So needless to say, we took the idea and we ran with it. So, there is strength and sometimes ease and definitely momentum when it comes to creating content in a series. So today, the long game is creating content series. You're listening to the Long Game Podcast with Sandra Scaiano. In a world where everyone is doing, it's easy to get lost in a sea of comparison, secret tricks, and promises of overnight success. The long game is my approach to business, the actual day in and day out philosophy that you have to show up, you have to do the work, and there's no quick fixes for long-term success. I'm a web designer, digital strategist, and energetic thinker, and I'm here to share the process and lessons I experience with my clients daily who are going through the same struggles of building a business as you are. We'll hear from successful entrepreneurs sharing their long game strategies, and I'm fun, so we're going to have a little fun along the way too. Thanks for being here. Let's get to today's episode. Okay, we all know what a content series is, right? Like a group of posts or videos or other pieces of content based on a theme that allows for you to delve into different parts of the whole. It can be story-based, like, the true crime podcast, where each week a new episode in the story launches. But this can also translate into your business story as well. There are people who do limited edition series where a new episode or a new post is released on a theme that gets explored over the course of a season. A content series can be about a topic of your expertise, and each post or social post or video can dive deeper into one of the components that makes up the topic. I did this a couple years back with a series of podcast episodes on courses and memberships. When you have more to say about a topic than just surface level, you can create a content series. And a content series can also be just one idea, right? Like how to use tomatoes, creating multiple posts on your favorite recipes using tomatoes. So my weight loss expert client did this recently, where she created a series of videos on recipes made with bread. And, this was great because one of her brand tenets is you must eat carbs to lose weight. So a series with delicious and weight loss approved recipes featuring bread really emphasized her point. And, I love a good series. There are, plenty of reasons to make content in a series. And those can be both good for your audience as well as you for the content creator. And for one, when you tap into a topic that your audience has really responded to, giving them more of that thing can be done in a series. And we talk a lot about looking at your data here. And, when you review and you find a topic that had a lot of views or engagement, creating a series on that same subject allows you to go deeper. You can flush out various supporting ideas and create more meaningful content that will resonate with your audience. And I love a good in-depth read, but not everyone has time to write or produce them. And, for me, spending a lot of time as my hobby in taking in content. Like I get annoyed when I read a post that just kind of lists out items and doesn't delve into them. I find this with a lot of blog posts and videos that they have the hooks in their titles and then fluff for their content, and fluff is not memorable. I want to know more. I want to get to the thought process behind the idea. A series gives you the ability to spend time building ideas out, without the overwhelm of super long form content either. And a series can provide structure and focus for your content. By creating content in a series, you can ensure that each piece is well crafted and informative. You can give each piece in the series its needed time and attention and space where you can fully express yourself. And, that's a really important concept. Because your content is about your expertise and your thoughts and your approach, and so many people cut themselves short by not letting their true voice or their true thoughts come out in an expressive way, and I'm sure part of this is due to our crank it out social media culture that we live in, but sharing who you are expressively through your ideas, it will do a lot more for building relationships with your audience than the breeze by. And, content series are a great way to keep your audience engaged. If people enjoyed the first installment of their series, they're likely to come back for more. And additionally, content series can help you build out an audience by creating a sense of anticipation and momentum. People want to know what's coming next. And really, we have all been trained by the large media with all of the scripted series and shows, the old school cliffhangers even, to absorb a story in segments. So a series is a format that we're familiar with. There's no need to worry that you're going to lose people along the way. And if you focus on creating smart, compelling content, people will anticipate the next installment. So think about the concept of a challenge. In online business, we've, all come across them. They're really a popular list building and engagement strategy. And they're basically like a week-long series with content broken down into manageable pieces each day. And we've all done some sort of challenge, whether it be business related or even like a drink water challenge, right? There's enough momentum built in to get us to the outcome and to stay with it for the time frame. So a content series can also be a way to build buzz around your work and attract new readers or new viewers, and it can be a useful marketing tool and promotion. It provides consistent touch points. It gives you something to talk about and it gives you something to promote. So it can be an event of sorts, just like a challenge, is an event and people promote that. Or, you can even take your video series and amplify that by talking and promoting that you're doing this series and driving traffic there. Also, when you do a series, like in this video series, you can say, hey, we talked about this yesterday, and tomorrow we're going to do number 5 or something like that. So, you can talk about these pieces that make up the whole and the value you're bringing and the highlight, you get to highlight the experience of the series and the ahas that people can take in from the content. And, a series can also be something that you can repurpose. So you can, bundle together this content for an opt-in, create custom pages with your series on your website and drive traffic to it, make the challenge free for the first go around and paid the next. Once you spend some time creating series content, you can leverage it in a number of ways. And finally, creating content in a series, it's an efficient way to use your time and resources, right? Once you've developed this format and a style that works, you can produce new content without having to start from scratch each time. You know what you want to talk about. And instead of one poster video, you are making 6, and each can be set up and executed in the same way. Just the planning piece here is a huge relief. Back to my opening story of my client brainstorm, we mapped out 20 pieces of content that could be part of the series, So once the idea is down on paper, as an expert, you know what to say. Much of the time in content creation is knowing what you want to talk about. And that really ends up being the hardest part. With the series mapped out, you're able to use your time more efficiently. You can write in batches. You can film in batches. You can handle the whole process in a more efficient way. So thinking of series of content can be a really valuable tool for you. And it makes the content process more manageable and helps to ensure that your content is focused and cohesive, which in turn helps your audience go deeper with you, right? Engagement and relationships are made here. So try it out. Brainstorm something, see what you can come up with, and let me know. Share it with me once you produce it. All right, everyone. I'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me today. You can access more info in the show notes at thelonggamepodcast.net. If today's show connected with you in some way, please share it with your friends or hop on iTunes and leave me a review. Until next time, keep playing the long game. This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.